Today we're going to be focusing on theories into practice. Of course, we'll start with a meme. Just a theory, that word, I do not think it means what you think it means. So let's look at what it actually does mean. So here's a definition from a dictionary. Theory is a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles independent of the thing to be explained. And then if you go down to the bullet, a set of principles on which the practice of an activity is based, like a theory of education, or an idea used to account for a situation or justify a course of action. Such as, my theory would be that the place has been seriously mismanaged. So now that we know what the definition is from the dictionary, I want you to turn and talk about what you think a theory is, and what theories do you think are taking place in your classroom practices. Okay, so what do you think theories are, and what role do they play in your classroom? All right, so it sounds like many of you have been able to come up with some theories that you practice in your classroom or that you believe in. Kindergarten, would y'all share a theory that you guys believe in and that you practice in your teaching practices? What you said was awesome. Please.
We'll tag team it. Go. I don't know. I just said that we believe that all children can learn, and that our goal is for them to be able to construct knowledge for themselves so that they can become lifelong learners.
Very good. Fostering that independence. Awesome. Anyone else?
Yeah, we were talking about that. We all learn different theories going through college and whatever, and we very much are a blend of theories we put into place. That it's just not one particular set of principles that we go by. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And why do we think that theories matter? I heard a lot of people talking about we learned about all these theories in college. Why do you think colleges think that that's important for you guys to know?
You can base your ideas and purposes on
and
those.
You teach what what you enjoy and what you know about and believe, and so you put into practice.
Exactly. When you're learning those things in colleges, they're hoping to shape your belief system, and that those things will transfer into your practice. And at least as far as I know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but usually theories are based on research, which obviously makes them best practices because they are research-based.
And how many of you have ever been in a situation where you had a difference of a professional opinion and you were trying to explain why you do a particular strategy or structure in your practice, and you felt like, well, I guess it's just my opinion or it's just my belief. But when you knew the research behind it, you could provide a research base, a rationale. I'll give you an example, and I bet many of you can have an example yourself. When I first started writing workshop in my 4th grade classroom, it was different than what some of my students had experienced. So I had a parent who bought me a language grammar guidebook with lessons and gave it to me with great intention and a smile and said, I just know there's not a lot of language worksheets coming home. They're not doing a lot of grammar in your class. I thought maybe you could benefit from this book because I figured y'all didn't have a book to teach it. And instead of being offended, I thought, I haven't accurately or even made an attempt to explain why we do writing workshop, what writing workshop is, how I believe in the theory of Connie Weaver's grammar is taught best in the context of meaningful reading and writing activities. And I thought, after my momentary freak out, I thought, how can I have this conversation? I called up a colleague, we role played, and I invited her in, and we had a conversation about, I'm doing this not because it's my belief or because it's my opinion, but I did some research over the summer and I was introduced to this new theory of grammar in context. And she was like, oh, there's research on that? I didn't know. I just knew that's how I was taught, Miss Mitchell. I'm totally for that now that I see how it's being taught. So one of our goals for today is for you to be able to think about not just the theory names, but how our theories do shape our beliefs and do shape our practices so that we can better communicate why we do what we do. And if what we do doesn't have a theoretical research base, we could be open to look for one, to find one that supports that, or maybe open to change, to see what does the research say about teaching ESOL learners or students who speak a language other than English, or what does the research say about that? So that's kind of why we're framing today about big theories.
Which will lead us into what we're going to spend a big chunk of our time on today, and that is looking at 4 different theories. You're going to be reading some articles, and you don't have to read every word of the 4 articles. So I want to tell you about each one just so you have kind of a little bit of background knowledge about them before you get to the actual reading, because you'll have about 10 minutes to read the article and then respond on a Google Doc. So don't freak out about the Google Doc just yet. We're going to walk you through it. It's super easy. If you're not familiar with them, you were using one when you signed in today. So all it is entering information on a Google Doc, and it's collected somewhere that you can look at later. So the first article that you're going to read is by Brian Camborne. Brian Camborne is a teacher, and he had noticed in his teaching that many students had great difficulty learning to read. However, they were still able to carry on complex thoughts and interactions, and so he was puzzled by that. So, in fact, he said, I was continually surprised and confused by students who didn't seem able to learn the simplest concepts associated with reading, who nonetheless showed evidence of being able to learn and apply much more complex knowledge and skill in the everyday world. So he started to take a closer look at how students learned, and he thought that one of the first most complex skills that kids learn is language acquisition and being able to learn how to talk. So through his research, he found that there were 7 sets of conditions that always seemed to be present when language was learned. So when you get to your first article, the Camborne article, you are only going to be looking at a certain number of pages. And if you look in your packet in big letters with a star, it says, focus especially on pages 184 to 187. The stuff before page 184, I just summarized for you. So you kind of have some background knowledge before you dive into the 7 concepts. Okay, your articles are not in your packet. It's just the part that tells you what pages to read. It's on the very first page. There's a QR code and a star up above it. It tells you which pages you're going to read. Okay?
And we'll tell you how to do the QR code after Nikki does an introduction of all of the articles. So that's the tech tool we're embedding in the reading workshop. We want to show you how you can access QR codes from the webcam on your laptop, so you could use it in your classroom or your phone. So just know we'll show you QR codes in a moment.
Yeah. All right, the second article was written by Pinnell. I know you all know that name. And in that article, she references someone else's theory. And they are M.A.K. Holiday. And I'm not sure if that's a man or a woman. Not sure. But Holiday created a category system that identified 7 categories for functions of language, and they stressed the importance of children experiencing the whole range of those functions in their homes, communities, and schools. Okay, so the article was written by Pinnell, but she references the theory by Holliday. And so on this article, if you turn the page to your second QR code, you only have to focus on 59 and 60, which will tell you those categories and about them. And then pages 68 to 69 in the article will give you some ways, instructional strategies to promote those language functions in your classroom. Okay? So that's your second article. The third and fourth articles are shorter, so you will read or scan the whole article. So I don't have to really tell you a whole lot about those because you will have a chance to read all of it. One is reciprocity between reading and writing. I know that everyone in here believes that reading and writing go hand in hand and are reciprocal. So that's what that article is about. And then the fourth article is about using children's primary language to build their literacy skills. So our ESOL students, not forcing them to always speak in English, that there are benefits to them being allowed to learn their native language along with the English language. So that is the fourth article. Okay, so you're probably wondering, okay, how do I get to those articles? So Dawn is going to show you how to use the webcam. If you're in the blend space, you're going to click.
And wait a minute, because we've learned that the QR website itself,
Oh, it overloads.
it overloads. It's not our district Wi-Fi network, it's theirs. So I'm going to ask that we stagger it. Pick one person to access the QR code website at a time, and that way it won't overload and freeze. But I want to show you how to do it first, and then I'm going to let you guys do it. I learned about QR codes at the ISTE Technology Conference in Atlanta a couple of years ago and love the flexibility that it offers our students to use inquiry-based learning, to access websites, even parents. You can embed, it's like a hyperlink with the code where you can take a picture of it, you can scan it with your phone or your laptop, and it'll take you right there to the site. So web QR, you'll click open a new tab, and this one can use whatever camera your device has. So when I click on that link, it's going to ask to use our camera. It will not work if your web camera didn't work for passive because it was disabled. Most of yours work, so I'll click allow. And then so it's looking at me. I'm going to take the QR code that I have. And you see how it scanned it right away? And then it'll give me the link that will take me right to the article. In elementary classrooms and in high school classrooms, if you ever visit Dorman High School or Dorman Freshman, lots of the teachers will put QR codes on their bulletin boards so that parents who are coming in, or even students, if they want to go see Mr. Baker's film products, they take their smartphone or their laptop and scan it, and it takes them to the product. So you can display things that traditionally can't be stapled on a bulletin board. Or you could do a jigsaw if you wanted to do inquiry-based learning with a content unit of study and integrate movement. I'm convinced that we don't need more of us sitting at a laptop all day long. If we printed off, as Nicole did, the QR code stations, could you post those around the room with links to content-based websites, and students could walk around the room with their laptops or their devices and get information from each station? So we wanted you to use the tech tool in the context of Reading Workshop instead of it being a separate tech station. So that's how you access the articles. Knowing all of us clicking that site at once slows it down, I'm just going to ask that each one of you just take a minute and then scan one at a time. That'll only take 5 extra minutes, which will keep the site from overloading. Okay? When you do that, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about this right quick. The Google form that we're asking you to use allows you to type in what you learned about the theory. So you can make some notes as you read each one. So we're just asking you to put in your name, your home school, what QR station is this, 1, 2, 3, or 4, What'd you learn, and how does the theory apply to your practice, okay? We don't want a dissertation because we're only going to give you a few, not a few, about 15 to 20 minutes for each one, and then you type what you have, what you learned in your own words, okay? It doesn't need to be more than a few sentences. Got it? Ready? Okay. All right. Go ahead and start scanning and reading.